Making headlines this hour, applications officially opens for residents of 8 additional electoral constituencies to participate in the ongoing Rayitunge Adu initiative hosted by President Dr. Mohammad Moiz. First Lady Sajida Mohammed says that women must participate at every level and in every field of nation building, and that programs should be implemented to create greater opportunities for women to take part in such efforts. Parliament Speaker Abdul Rahim Abdullah calls for stronger parliamentary diplomacy, respect for international law, and dialogue to advance peace and shared prosperity.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to PSM News in English with me, Fatma Zaina Rifat. And now for the news in detail. The Special Awards Committee announces nominations for the President's Award for Special Achievement will close on Monday, 31st August 2026 at 2 p.m.
Applications must be submitted through the President's Office form submission portal, with applicants required to provide all documents specified under the relevant award category. The committee has particularly highlighted requirements for applicants seeking recognition based on qualifications at level 7, 8 or 9 of the Moody's National Qualifications Framework. Such applicants must submit confirmation from the awarding institution or the institution where the program was completed, showing that they achieved first place or the highest standing in the program. Documentation of their average marks or grade point average GPA must also be provided. Applicants with qualifications from overseas universities must additionally submit a copy of their certificate showing verification by the Moody's Qualification Authority of the qualification level. The committee said all supporting documents must be certified as true copies of the original. This year, the President's Award for Special Achievement will recognize accomplishments in 4 categories. These include outstanding achievement in a higher education or training program, the highest placing or distinction at an international exhibition, competition, or other internationally recognized assessment, inventions, innovations, or academic research addressing significant challenges facing the Maldives, and outstanding achievements by skilled, talented, and hardworking young people whose innovative and productive work contribute to national development. Applicants have been advised to ensure that all required supporting documents are submitted with their application before the deadline.
President Dr. Mohammad Moiz appoints Shoaib Yusuf as a member of the Employment Tribunal. The appointment was made during a special ceremony at the President's office. Before receiving his appointment letter, Yusuf took the oath of office as a member of the tribunal. The oath was administered by Supreme Court Justice Ali Rashid Hussain. President Moiz then formally presented Yusuf with his appointment letter during the ceremony. Yusuf's appointment adds a new member to the body responsible for hearing and determining employment-related disputes in the Maldives. Applications officially opens for residents of 8 additional electoral constituencies to participate in the ongoing Rayitunge Adu initiative hosted by President Dr. Mohammad Moiz.
Out of the 93 electoral constituencies in the Maldives, the President's Office announced that registration is now open for residents of Hemwer Uturu, Milandu, Velidu, Tuladu, Felidu, Mulaku, Nilandu, and Guradu. Interested individuals are required to register via the dedicated online portal on the President's Office website before the deadline of 12 a.m. on 31st August. The Rayitunge Adu series was launched to provide the public with direct individual access to the President to express their concerns. According to official guidelines, meeting opportunities will be allocated based on the total volume of requests, available time slots, and the administrative capacity of the President's Office. Participants may bring forward personal matters, topics related to organizations they represent, or issues of public interest. Confirmed meeting dates and times will be communicated directly through the contact information provided during registration. Under the published rules, each participant will receive a dedicated 10-minute window to speak directly with the President. Applicants are permitted to bring their spouse, one child, and one parent to the session. The guidelines mandate respectful conduct at all times, making clear that intimidation, vulgar language, or any behavior that disrupts peace will not be tolerated. The initiative was first announced by President Moise during the Nation Chat program broadcast in collaboration with Public Service Media (PSM). Applicants were previously open for 8 initial constituencies including Hulumale Uturu, Huludu, Horafushi, Hulumale Medu, Mafanu Dekunu, Ungufaru, Kela, and Formula Dekunu. The program extends upon the President's ongoing commitment to direct public engagement following his visits to all inhabited islands and meetings with the local councils across the Maldives over the past 2 years.
President Dr. Mohamed Moise says that rather than responding to statements made by political figures, his priority is to find ways to fulfill the promises he made to the people.
Speaking in response to a question on PSM's Nation Chat program regarding political figures who have said they will defeat President Dr. Mohamed Moise in the upcoming presidential election, the president said his focus remains on delivering the commitments he made. President Moise said that instead of concerning himself with what politicians say, he is focused on finding ways to fulfill the promises made to the people and said he would succeed in doing so. The president said progress is being made across all areas in fulfilling his commitments. He added that he would continue working to implement the initiatives needed by the people. President Moise said his administration is working to fulfill its commitments in areas including strengthening the national economy, foreign affairs, social development, business, youth development, and healthcare, in line with the promises made. Among the president's key pledges are achieving progress in urban development and finding a comprehensive solution to the issues of housing. He has also placed particular emphasis on strengthening the capabilities of the National Defense Force by improving its resources and infrastructure, as well as promoting and strengthening national identity. In addition to working to sustain the economic development of the Maldives, President Dr. Moise has pledged to undertake numerous measures to address challenges in the health and education sectors.
First Lady Sajida Mohammed says that women must participate at every level and in every field of nation building, and that programs should be implemented to create greater opportunities for women to take part in such efforts.
The First Lady made the remarks while speaking as the chief guest at the closing ceremony of the Vilunteri Kambulum program. First Lady Sajida Mohammed said women are an important part of a country's social fabric and educational foundation. She described women as the heart, dignity, passion, and spirit of nation building and said their role in building and developing a country forms the foundation of progress and the source of happiness within families and society. Speaking about the Vilunteri Kambulum program, the First Lady said entrepreneurship is an important quality and skill that everyone should learn. She said teaching this skill to women would bring significant social and economic benefits to the country. Highlighting the objectives of the Vilunteri program, First Lady said the program had provided women with practical skills and knowledge, as well as critical thinking and practical abilities. Reflecting on the history of the Maldives and the circumstances of other societies, the First Lady said Maldivian women have been particularly fortunate from a historical perspective. She noted that in some societies, women have faced discrimination because of religious and cultural practices, leaving them deprived of education, the opportunity to voice their opinion, and participation in various forms of work. She also said that Maldivians are Muslims and that Islam has established equality between women and men. According to the First Lady, Islamic history calls on women to strengthen the Ummah, contribute to a strong society, and become courageous, capable, and morally upright members of the community.
Parliament Speaker Abdul Rahim Abdullah calls for stronger parliamentary diplomacy, respect for international law, and dialogue to advance peace and shared prosperity.
Addressing the general debate of the second Inter-Parliamentary Speakers Conference in Cambodia, Speaker Abdul Rahim said parliaments have an important role to play in resolving conflicts peacefully and strengthening cooperation between nations. Speaking on the theme, Solidarity for Peace and Shared Prosperity, strengthening international law and resolving conflicts peacefully, he pointed to Cambodia's transition from conflict to peace as an example of how deep divisions can be overcome through leadership, reconciliation, and a sustained commitment to peace. He said the UN Charter and international law remain essential foundation for international peace and security, particularly for small island states such as the Maldives, where they provide important safeguards for sovereignty and security. Speaker Abdul Rahim said parliamentary diplomacy can help build bridges between countries, promote dialogue and strengthen mutual understanding, stressing that cooperation and dialogue should take precedence over confrontation and violence. He also highlighted the strategic importance of the Indian Ocean to the Maldives and the wider region, describing it as a shared lifeline, supporting millions of people through trade, fisheries, tourism, and other livelihoods. He reaffirmed the Maldives' commitment to working with regional and international partners to strengthen maritime cooperation and security while protecting the marine environment for future generations. Addressing the connection between environmental security and peace, Speaker Abdul Rahim said climate change poses a particular threat to the Maldives. Rising sea level, coral reef degradation, marine pollution, and climate-related disasters, he said, threaten livelihoods and national resilience and could contribute to instability. He stressed that protecting the marine environment should therefore be viewed not only as an environmental responsibility, but also as an investment in peace, stability, and sustainable development. On shared prosperity, the speaker said solidarity and greater recognition of the interconnectedness of nations were essential. He said prosperity should not be measured by economic growth alone, but should also include quality education, innovation, equal opportunities, and the empowerment of young people. Turning to the continuing conflict in the Middle East, Speaker Abdul Rahim expressed deep concern over the humanitarian suffering and called on all parties to embrace dialogue and support an immediate ceasefire. He called for efforts towards a just, comprehensive, and lasting peace based on international law and the legitimate aspirations of all people. Concluding his address, Speaker Abdul Rahim urged parliamentary leaders to reaffirm their commitment to peaceful conflict resolution and international cooperation.
Minister of Economic Development, Transport and Trade Mohammed Saeed announces China has expressed its full readiness to assist the development of the Maldives.
The minister shared details of high-level discussions aimed at bolstering commercial ties and expanding economic cooperation between the two nations following his official visit to China. In a statement shared on social media, Minister Said highlighted key discussions held with Liu Xiaoming, the governor of China's Hainan province. The meeting focused on maximizing the strategic benefit of the Free Trade Agreement or FTA established between the Maldives and China, alongside expanding joint projects aimed at driving sustainable development. Minister Said expressed deep appreciation to the Chinese government for its commitment to supporting the Maldives' priority development sectors. He noted that these commitments build directly upon the strategic agreements reached between President Dr. Mohamed Muiz and Chinese President Xi Jinping during President Muiz's state visit to China. Expanding on his visit in Hainan, Minister Said also visited the Haikan Group Product Exhibition Hall and met with the Deputy General Manager of the Hainan State Farms Investment Holding Group along with other key officials. According to the Economic Ministry, talks centered on critical economic initiatives including guaranteeing food security, enhancing regional transport and logistic connectivity, and increasing direct export of Maldivian fish products to Hainan. China continues to play a vital role as a key development partner for the Maldives. Beyond financing and executing major infrastructure projects, Beijing's ongoing assistance encompasses broader support aimed at enhancing the Maldives' human resource and institutional capacity to ensure long-term economic resilience.
The Maldives and India holds discussions on strengthening cooperation in the environmental sector with a focus on climate resilience, environmental protection, and technical collaboration.
Minister of Climate Change, Environment and Energy Ali Sharif held the discussion with India's Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change Bhupendra Yadav during his visit to Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia to attend the 17th Conference of the Parties (COP17) to the United Nations Convention to Combat Desertification. Director of Knowledge Management, Research and Assessment Ahmad Shan also attended the meeting alongside Minister Ali Sharif. During the meeting, the two sides reaffirmed the close and friendly relations between the Maldives and India and discussed strengthening cooperation in the environmental sector and atmospheric science. They also explored practical measures to strengthen climate resilience and environmental protection. As part of these discussions, the two countries explored cooperation in environmental conservation, mapping areas affected by erosion, and strengthening capacity to use Earth observation systems to identify climate risks. They also discussed working together to protect mangroves, coastal areas, the environment, and marine biodiversity. The discussions also focused on strengthening ties between technical institutions in the Maldives and India and conducting capacity building programs. Building on these areas of cooperation, both countries agreed to work towards formal agreements and further strengthen efforts to build climate resilience across the South Asian region. At UNCCD COP17 in Ulaanbaatar, the Maldives also advocated for the circumstances and challenges faced by small island nations such as the Maldives to receive due consideration when developing the convention's international standards and mechanisms for providing financial assistance.
The Utility Regulatory Authority (URA) says it has decided to introduce licensing for professionals working in the utilities sector. Speaking on PSM News Rajamyadu program, URA Director of Utility Management Ali Mishal said work was underway to establish the necessary arrangements to allow Maldivian professionals working in 4 sectors to practice with a license. The authority will recognize professionals based on their experience and qualifications, as well as their skills and competence to work in the relevant field, Mishal said. The 4 sectors identified for professional licensing are electricity, water, sewerage, and waste management. Vishal said the purpose of licensing people providing utility services was to ensure the quality of services delivered in these sectors meets the required standards. Vishal said, as part of the work to introduce licensing for utility professionals, a system to identify people working in the electricity sector has already been established. He added that the work would begin shortly on licensing professionals working in water and sewerage sectors. URA Energy Engineer Ahmed Naufal said the authority was strengthening its administrative procedures for inspecting and monitoring utility service providers. He said the authority was developing additional regulations and working to ensure the utility services were delivered through a transparent system. Service providers would be inspected to protect customers' rights, with instructions to address areas requiring improvement, Naufal said. The authority operates under the Ministry of Climate Change and Environment. Meta Platforms reaches a settlement to resolve claims brought by states across the country that the company designed Instagram and Facebook to addict children, mislead consumers about their safety, and improperly collected personal data of children who used its platforms. The deal was reached during a California federal court trial over claims brought by 29 states, averting one of the highest-profile tests yet of allegations that social media companies harmed young users. Just days before jury selection began on August 12th, a federal appeals court declined to halt the trial.
The big one that we're focused on is building an AI and a machine learning engineer to advance the llama development itself, right? Because I mean, our bet is sort of that in the next year, probably, I don't know, maybe half the development is going to be done by AI as opposed to people, and then that will just kind of increase from there.
The claims are part of a broader wave of litigation brought by states, local governments, school districts, and individuals, alleging Meta and other social media companies fueled a nationwide youth mental health crisis. The federal trial covered claims from the Attorney General of California, Colorado, Kentucky, and New Jersey that Meta violated their state laws protecting consumers. Relatives of people missing in floods that killed at least 270 packs outside a Kathmandu hospital, desperate for news of loved ones after a catastrophic collapse along the Himalayan border of Nepal and China's Tibet. Nearly 1,500 people are missing, among them 800 foreigners, authorities said, a day after a massive wall of mud and rock collapsed into the Himalayan river, sending devastating floods through towns and valleys.
It's really overwhelming, as most of you might be knowing. Yesterday we had a very devastating flood in the hilly parts of Nepal, and almost 4 districts, they have been cut off from the mainland. All the bridges have been washed away, and because of the high velocity of flooding, it's like a flash flood, so people could not protect themselves, and there are lots of casualties. The exact situation is yet to be known.
Gopal Sidine, Deputy Director and spokesperson of Tribhuvan University Teaching Hospital, said the facility has so far received 31 patients, all brought in by helicopter after roads were cut off. While the exact cause of the disaster is still being analyzed, scientists say it probably began with a massive ice rock avalanche on the northern slopes of Nepal's Langtang Lirung Peak into the Lende Kola River on the Tibetan side. At least 6 major hydropower plants and infrastructure at the Girong port trade hub were damaged in a multi-stage hazard chain across borders triggered by the initial collapse. It also altered river channels more than 100 kilometers downstream near the Indian border. Czech pair Karolina Muchova and Jakub Mensik beats Switzerland's Belinda Benicec and Italian Flavio Cobolli 6-3, 1-6, 10-6 to win the US Open mixed doubles title, securing the first Grand Slam trophy as a team. Muchova and Mensik got off to a fast start on Arthur Ashe Stadium, with the hard-serving Mensik hammering an ace past Bencic on set point to claim the opener in less than 30 minutes. Bencic drilled a return winner to break serve for a 3-1 lead in the second. The Swiss player later leveled the match when her forehand clipped the net court and skipped beyond Muchova. In the deciding 10-point match tiebreak, Mensik's big serve and sharp work at the net helped the Czechs seize control. The 20-year-old put away a firm volley to open an 8-4 lead before Muchova produced her best serve of the match to bring up championship points. Mensik sealed the victory with another ace, leaping in celebration after clinching the first trophy of the season's final Grand Slam. Muchova and Mensik had earlier saved 2 match points against Russians Mira Andreeva and Andrei Rublev in their semi-final to book their place in the title match. The 16-team mixed doubles draw began on Tuesday on the second year of the tournament's revamped format, which features leading singles players and is aimed at drawing bigger crowds in the week before the singles main draw. Among the star-studded teams, Novak Djokovic joined forces with Aryna Sabalenka and Carlos Alcaraz played alongside Serena Williams. The Gamescom, known as the world's biggest trade fair for video games, opens its doors with more than 1,700 exhibitors in Cologne, Germany. The fair offers visitors stage shows around new game releases as well as community events like a cosplay competition for those who practice the art of representing gaming characters in detailed costumes. Felix Falk, a managing director of the Gaming Association who is co-organizing the event, sees many emerging trends in the gaming industry. At the opening night, the Gamescom hosted political guests of honor, such as the State Minister of North Rhine-Westphalia, Hendrik Wurst, Vice Chancellor and Federal Minister of Finance, Lars Klingbeil, and Federal Minister of Research, Technology and Space, Dorothy Baer. In 233,000 square meters, companies can present their products in the world of gameplay until August 30th. And that's all the news we have for you today. Thank you for watching PSM News.